Gamu Gamu. I'm Max Garcia, and I wanted to talk about my favorite anime show right now, and that is One Piece. I've watched 517 episodes of One Piece, kind of like the first half of content out right now, since there's like 997 episodes out right now. My guess is that it's going to like 1,300, 1,400. However many that Ichiro Oda, who's the creator of One Piece, I'm pretty sure I said his name right. However many episodes that he wants to do, he's going to do, because One Piece is already one of the longest shows of all time, one of the longest animes of all time. But so far, I've been loving every single episode of it, except for this long island arc where Luffy literally roller skates. That 20 episode arc of One Piece I didn't like too much at all, but everything else has been immaculate storytelling at its finest. I love how it's so much content, like 460 episodes of content, with each episode being around 20 minutes because you take out the 10% filler percentage. And you have continuity between like episode 120 and episode 480, and it's just a beautiful thing of storytelling, of just something building up to this major event in Marineford. Like, I just love that storytelling so much. And you have all these action scenes that are Avenger-like, and I'll give my example right now. When the Mugiwara crew, or the Straw Hat crew, is fighting the Marines on Ennis Lobby, and the whole crew's on top of the building with Nico Robin on the other side with Frankie and CP9, and the whole crew's lined up, and Usopp fires a fireball at the Marine flag, and the Straw Hat crew declares war on the Marines. You get this feel, that same type of feel in Endgame when everyone snaps back, and you get like Falcon saying "on your left," and then Captain America says "Avengers assemble." Like, you get the same type of feel.
俺はこんなんじゃダメだ。青生地に負けた時、俺は思ったんだ。この先の海にまたこんな強いやつが現れるんなら、俺はもっと強くならなくちゃ仲間を守れねえ。俺には強くなんかなくたって一緒にいてほしい仲間がいるから、俺が誰よりも強くならなきゃそいつらをみんな失っちまう。
ではどうする？
力いっぱい戦う方法を考えた。誰も失わねえように、誰も遠くへ行かねえように。
何をしている？体の中で何が起きている？
お前はもう俺にはついてこれねえぞ。
何？
俺の技はみんな一段階進化する。いや、セカンド。
And it's also comedic, and I don't laugh at many shows, but when I'm watching One Piece, I'm actually laughing at some of the humor. Like, sometimes there's actual fart jokes, and I'm just like, bruh, why is this happening? But then there's some other things.
そして海賊狩りのゾロ、てめえには6000万だ。
本当だ、新しい手配書だ。ゾロ、おめえが賞金首になってんぞ。
何？おい待て、俺のもあるだろ。
ね、
よく見ろよ。
ね。
そうか、アラバスタの件で額が跳ね上がったんだわ。1億だなんて。よほー、1億聞いたか、俺1億だ。
6000万が不満だぜ。
喜ぶな、そこ。
That are really funny. For example, Usopp, he's always nervous, which is a complete contradiction to Luffy, because Luffy's ambitious and confident at all times and never fearful of anything, not even a ghost or a giant skeleton. Usopp is always questioning any action that their crew does, and there's this precious Usopp moment in the Skypiea when Usopp and Sanji are coming back from the dead pretty much because shocked them, yet they're getting back up. So that's gonna happen in One Piece. They get injured or they're on near-death experience. Luffy has almost died many times, but then 2 weeks later, I guess, in the show, they're perfectly fine again. So that happens, it's an anime. It's what you get when every single time an arc ends, it's going to make you feel good because it's a light-hearted show. At the end of the day, even though it has some pretty heavy morality questions hitting you with like who should govern a group of people, should you live, if you build something that's used for evil cause, should you be ashamed of what you built? Like all these questions happen from like Nico Robin to Frankie, yada yada. But I'm actually laughing with these comedy situations. So talking about the Usopp moment again, in Skypiea, Usopp and Sanji go up to Enel's arc, and Sanji doesn't go out to fight Enel right away because Sanji's actually in the background like destroying the ship pretty much, and Usopp goes out first and he is scared down to every single atom in his body, and I just find that moment so hilarious. Like I love that Usopp moment and this Usopp moment too.
チュリ俺が継ぎはぎだろ
うわ、それ面白いぞ、ウソップ。
ここは
I didn't really explain the world of One Piece because if you watch One Piece, the show doesn't make you devour the whole entire world in like 2 episodes. Like you have some time with the beginning characters of the show. Like Brooke and Frankie get added to the show really late, and then you don't even get that much time with them, but you get a bunch of time with Zoro, a man who just takes everything seriously, who wants to become the world's greatest swordsman. And then you have Luffy, who's ambitious and amazing leader, but he's also stupid sometimes because his ambitious attitude kind of makes him blind to anything that isn't in his main goal. So that kind of can come off as selfish sometimes. And then you also have Nami, who's in love with money, and then I already mentioned Usopp, who's this like human-like character. And in the world of One Piece, you have these crazy fantasy powers with devil fruits, whether they be Logia, Paramecia, or Zoan types. Logia might be the most powerful, but with Haki, I think Paramecia becomes the most powerful. And I didn't even mention what Haki is. That's a whole new power thing that was kind of sprinkled in with some foreshadowing with like Mantra and Skypiea, and with other people using it throughout the series. Haki's a thing that Luffy learned in the time skip, by the way. I don't really have to go on further because I'm just talking about the power types. You get pretty crazy power types, and then you have Usopp and also Nami. Nami doesn't have a devil fruit ability, which means both of them can actually consume a devil fruit in the second half of the New World and become much stronger. Like Usopp can just eat like a really powerful devil fruit and become really strong. Like that's gonna kind of change his character a bit, but he could do that. So right now, Usopp as a character, for the 517 episodes you get to know him, Usopp is extremely relatable because he is the weakest of the bunch by far. Like Nami has these lightning, rain, weather powers with the stick that was created by Usopp, and Usopp just only has his slingshot that can fire just like little balls that can explode, like exploding stars, which is powerful in like a world like ours. Like if someone had that on a battlefield, I mean maybe not now, but like maybe in the 1920, like World War I, if someone was like that, you would be like, okay, that's really powerful. But in this world, Usopp is not that powerful, but you can be inside his shoes because Usopp is just trying his best, and sometimes when you're facing up against formidable enemies, the best isn't good enough, and that's what you can learn from Usopp's character, but he is still trying. And Usopp actually had so much internal conflict escalate within the group that he left the group and came back as Soji King, and then had to plead to Luffy to let him back on the crew. Very good arc. And you can argue that the best arcs are Marine arcs, because people generally don't really like Skypiea, but I really like Skypiea. I didn't really like Thriller Bark, but it was there. But you can see how like the best arcs are Marine arcs, where you have Loketown, you know, Captain Smoker, who's still relevant to today, which was amazing. He was in the Marine Ford arc, just like, oh, I love Captain Smoker. I love the Alabasta arc, where you get to meet Crocodile. I love Crocodile. He's the closest thing to Thanos in the One Piece universe, in my opinion. And I actually was just like loving how Crocodile came out of Impel Down, like the prison, to help Luffy. And he actually saved Ace at one point during the whole battle, and I was like, yes, I love Crocodile. And then you also have Buggy, who Luffy fights in like episode 8. So Buggy's still like a meme and relevant to today's arc. And you also have a bunch of other characters from the Crocodile Barati Works regime. You have Mr. 3, who I love. Mr. 2, Honorary Straw Hat, I love him. And then you also have Mr. 1. I could care less about that character. But Mr. 3 and Buggy in the Impel Down arc, with Luffy meeting Jinbei and in Ivan Cole, like, I love Mr. 3 and Buggy, because they're just like panicking and they're just like being pushed to do the opposite thing that they want to do. And I was just like cracking up at that. I was just like, wow, this is good humor. I've already been talking about One Piece for a good amount so far, and I just have to mention this. So you don't know Luffy's true backstory until like episode 490. Like, you wait that long to learn the main character's backstory, because it's not really that important for you to actually like Luffy's character. Anyway, Luffy's not true brother, but brother by sake, which is like alcohol. Pretty sure you should know that. Anyways, brother by bond, Ace, gave Luffy his Viver card in like Alabasta, and the Viver card represents if you're pretty much alive or dying. So Luffy gets this notice that his brother's dying, and Luffy has to go and try and save him. Luffy has to fight through Magellan, almost dies into poison but gets saved by Ivan. Then he has to push onto the battlefield in Marineford. He is nowhere close to the admiral level of Okiji, who has these ice powers. Him and Luffy already fought, and Luffy lost. Luffy doesn't lose often, but when he does, he gets very close to near death. He lost to Crocodile twice, then beat him the third time once he found out Crocodile's weakness. He pretty much has been losing to Captain Smoker since he hasn't learned Haki yet. He's been nowhere close to the Admiral Marine level. He beat Moria, but lost, or he would have lost to Kuma if he was alive during the end of the Thriller Bark. So the admirals in the Navy, Okiji, who actually might be the fleet admiral now, maybe, in the New World, he has the ice powers. Then you have Akainu, who has the volcano powers, and then you have Kizaru, who has the light powers. And Luffy's nowhere close to those three guys, and that actually cost them in the Sabaody arc. So the whole crew's trying to get to Fishman Island. Before they get to Fishman Island, there's this island or a boat called Thriller Bark. That's where they meet one of the warlords, Moria, and then they get through Moria, right? They pick up Brook, who's their musician finally. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. And then they get to Sabaody because they have to coat their ship to go to Fishman Island. And then on Sabaody, the Marines come because Luffy attacked the Tenryubutu because this whole slavery issue going on. So not only do you have like the morality of the questions of like who should govern, but you also have this whole slave argument. So you see why slavery is so wrong, and Luffy actually has to grieve so much from episode 400 to episode 517. Like I love the part where Luffy has this emotional development to him, because before he's just been fighting all his might and just winning in the end. But with Magellan, he didn't win. In Marineford, he was like 15th strongest on the battlefield because you had Marshall D. Teach there, or Blackbeard. You had Whitebeard there. You had Marcos, who is this mythical Zoan type. You have Minhawk. You have the Bow Flamingo Warlord. You have the Fleet Admiral. You have Garp. So Luffy, it wasn't even that strong at Marineford. He's probably super strong now after the time skip. But Luffy has to grieve with his crew's loss at the Sabaody archipelago because Kuma swipes and bounces everyone to the different islands, which pretty much sets up the time skip. And then Luffy has to grieve for Ace's death. And Luffy does that by partly going to Marineford and ringing the bell 16 times and like having a tattoo that says like 3 days crossed out, 2 years, that's when we'll meet up again. And Luffy grieving is just so remarkable because it adds a bunch of depth to a character that didn't really have depth in episode 1 or in any episode where Luffy's just eating and eating and eating because Luffy loves meat. And whenever Luffy gets sleep, you're just like, yes, because he's going to be super strong after he gets sleep. You also have Kobe, who is trying to become a Navy Admiral too, who also has the power of Haki. You find that out in Marineford, and Kobe is super weak at Marineford, like super weak, like the same level as just a regular Marine troop. We'll see if he ever becomes an admiral to fight Luffy fairly. I don't think that will ever happen because Luffy's going to become the king of the pirates. Zoro is going to surpass Minhawk at one point, and Nami and Sanji they have their other goals. And Brook just wants to be a musician. And Frankie just wants to see his ship carried out with the king of the pirates. You also had Nico Robin, who was Luffy's enemy in the Alabasta arc, but then joins the crew because her life purpose was gone. But then Luffy's helping her find her life purpose, which is actually very deep. If you think about it, like your whole life purpose, like why you are alive, that's very, very deep. And you don't really trust Nico Robin too much because she was just the enemy, and Oda uses that little lack of trust in Nico Robin into a whole arc with CP9, and that goes to Enies Lobby where Luffy's trying to fight the Marines in CP9, and Luffy has to go to Gear 2nd and Gear 3rd. And that's kind of Luffy's power up with his own powers, and now he's learned Haki. So I love One Piece. It's so good. So I'm very excited for the second half of One Piece. And then I get to go to a One Piece themed restaurant here in Tallahassee. I'm very excited for that.
しかも面白いし。うめえこと言いやがる骸骨だな。おめえなんで動いてんだ。ああいいやなんでも。あディーナ。ワオ。ディーナ。あい。ディーナ。おベイベー。ディーナ。カモン。ディーナ。スーパー。
乾杯してねえのに結局宴になっちゃった。こんなにうるさいのに麺も開けねえな。いつもは一番タフな男がね。